So in continuation of the last class, we will discuss today the what we call the scope of soil science. Scope of soil science or the importance of soil science. So what is the importance of soil science or what is the scope of soil science? So soil science and agricultural chemistry is interrelated with other faculties of agriculture like agronomy, plant breeding and genetics, crop physiology, plant pathology, entomology, microbiology, agriculture microbiology, and etc. So how exactly it is related to the soil science is, I'll just a few minutes brief about each department and how exactly it is connected to soil science. Suppose if you take the agronomy, what is agronomy? Agronomy is the principles and practices of crop growing. So where exactly crop is grown? It is grown on the soils. So without soils, agronomy cannot exist. So because sometimes agronomy people, they grow different crops specific to the soils. For example, black cotton soils. So black cotton soils, cotton is usually grown in black soils. Or we can say paddy fields is usually grown in alkaline soils. Or other cereals and pulses, they grow in neutral soils. Even coffee, tea, rubber, and plantation crops, they grow in acidic soils. So crop growing is specific to the soils. That means to say, the agronomist has to must and should depend upon the soil science or soils. So next is crop physiology. How exactly the crop physiology is related to soils. So crop physiology deals with the interrelation between soil and plant and water and nutrients. So there is a interrelationship between soil, water, and plant, and with nutritions and nutrients, and all together with the soil. So again, crop physiology people has to depend upon the nutrients dealt by soil science people. And therefore, so without soil science, crop physiology cannot be existed. Next is plant breeding and genetics. So plant breeding and genetics objective is to evolve the varieties or high yielding varieties or hybrids. So in order to evolve or evolution of any variety, they need very high fertile soils. So hybrids or the varieties, suppose if you want to evolve very good high yielding varieties, they need highly fertile soils. So for example, in highly fertile soils means they have to depend upon the soil science again. They cannot grow crops in saline soils or sodic soils or salt affected soils, etc. So without help of the soil science, plant breeding and genetics department cannot exist. Next is microbiology. So what is soil microbiology? Microbiology people, they deals with the microscopic organisms. So maybe beneficial microorganisms or harmful microorganisms. So like bacteria, fungus, actinomycetes, and phosphate solving bacteria, and maybe azolla and other biofertilizers. So all these application aspect depends upon the soils. All these biofertilizers cannot be applied to all types of soils. They have to study. They have to depend upon the soil science in which how exactly they're applied. More than that, all microscopic organisms which are beneficial organisms, bacteria or actinomycetes or fungi, they are depend upon the soil, especially soil property like pH and salt content. So, for example, the bacteria can able to survive in neutral soils, whereas fungi can be survived in the acidic soils. So, before going for the study of bacteria or fungi actinomycetes, they should have the knowledge of soil science. So, without soil science, they cannot go for transformation of nutrients, translocation of nutrients, and microorganisms in the soils. This is how the microbiology, agricultural microbiology depends upon the soil science. So next is plant pathology. It is a pathology deals with the soil-borne diseases, bacterial, fungal, and viral diseases. Sometimes diseases spread through the soils, and it acts as a medium for disease spreading. Soil science or soils act as a medium for spreading of a disease through the soils to the plant. So especially in greenhouses or potting studies or horticulture studies, in this case, the soils has to be sterilized with the steam, and then they have to use it for horticulture media. Therefore, pathology people are they wanted to study very thoroughly about what are the harmful organisms present in the soils. If at all such cases, they have to sterilize the soils, whether it is black soils or red soils or loamy soils and etc. So before going for pathological studies or diseases, they should also understand about the soils. Next is entomology. Study of insects is called as entomology. Entomology deals with the crop loss, maybe due to the soil-borne insects or nocturnal inhabitant. Some these insects or pests, they are nocturnal inhabitant. They are survive in the night times, and they are very active in the night times and come out from the soils. They cut it, or they can chew it, or maybe some other means they destroy the crops, especially borers. They cut the stem, and once the stem is cut, the plant is destroyed. So before that, before going study of the entomology, they should also study the different types of pests or insects present in the soils. For example, nematodes. Nematode is not to study the nematode, they have to screen the soils, because nematodes present in the soils. So the entomology is entirely depends upon the soils. So without soils, no entomology can able to exist. Next is agricultural economics. What is economics? Is study of cost of cultivation, or how much inputs you have applied, how much yield has got, and how much the yield has fetched the value in the market. So all these depends upon the, so higher the value, market value is depends upon the good quality of the materials or the output of the products, grains, fruits, vegetables, and etc. So these quality, high quality of the products or yield depends upon the high fertile soils. So higher the fertile soils, higher the yield, very good quality, and they fetch very good market. So the agriculture economics or the price is dependent upon the high fertile soils. So before going for growing of any crop, they should see whether the soils are highly fertile or not. That is in the sense that the soils contains all the essential nutrients or not. They have to study. So this is about regarding the scope of soil science. In a nutshell, or importance of soil science. So in nutshell, without the soils or without the Department of Soil Science Agriculture Chemistry, no other branches of agriculture can able to exist. What are the branches? Agronomy, microbiology, plant dependent genetics, crop physiology, entomology, pathology, and agriculture economics. In a holistic approach, so without soil science, no agriculture can able to exist. Are you understand me?
Yes, sir.
Henge ಮಣ್ಣಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಜಗತ್ತೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸಿ.ಟಿ. ಸುಬ್ರಾಯಪ್ಪ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಜಿ.ಕೆ. ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ. ಒಪ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀರಾ? ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತದನ್ರಿ?
ಸರ್ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಿದೆ ಸರ್.
So without soil science, no other crops can able to exist. So that is the scope of soil science. What is the scope of a student now? ನಾನು ಇಲ್ದ್ರೆ ಜಗತ್ತೇ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನಾನು ಇಲ್ದ್ರೆ ಮನೇನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನಾನು ಇಲ್ದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ಯಾರು ಸಿಗೋದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನಾನೇ ಜಗತ್ತಿಗೆ ಇದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಕಲರ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಕೆತ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, ಅದೇ ಸ್ಕೋಪು. ಸೊ ಸ್ಕೋಪ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್, ಸ್ಕೋಪ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿ, ಸ್ಕೋಪ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್, scope of the parents, scope of the brothers and sisters, So everybody will have a scope. So similarly, soil science has also got a very good scope in the sense, without soils, no other faculties of the department, the university can able to exist. Therefore, before going for any studies of the agriculture, they should study first and foremost soils. So soil is a most important entity for the crop growth and agriculture. So this is the end of the chapter of scope of soil science or importance of soil science. So next part of our today's discussion is pedon and polypedon. P-E-D-O-N, pedon, and polypedon, P-O-L-Y-P-E-D-O-N, polypedon. Pedon and polypedon. So what is the meaning of pedon? So the term pedon may be defined, may be considered as from the Greek word, pedon means soil or the earth. Pedon is the three-dimensional sampling unit size of about 1 to 10 meters square, used for examination and study of soil in the field. I repeat once again, what is pedon? Pedon is defined by the Greek word, namely soil or earth. Pedon is the three-dimensional sampling unit size of about 1 to 10 meters square. So the area of a pedon must and should have 1 to 10 meters square area, used for examination and study of the soil in the field. That is very important. Area is very, very important. Please remember, in many of the examinations, they ask in the these questions. So the term pedon has been proposed for a small basic entities that are part of unbroken mass, that is mantling the land. Unbroken mass, mantling the land. Pedon is the smallest volume that can be called as a soil. At the same time, it must be large enough volume of a soil to be observed and exhibit a full set of horizons. It is three-dimensional figure. Its lowest limit is somewhat vague between the soil and not soil. It is a unit of sampling. The set of pedons must fit within the range of one series and occur in adjoining group of polypedons. So soil pedon in ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ನಾವು ಹೊಲಗಳ ಗದ್ದೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಉಳುಮೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀವಲ್ವಾ, when we plowing the land with a tractor or by Kolar moldboard plow or maybe some other plows, you will get a lot of clods. ಅದನ್ನು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೆಂಟೆ ಅಂತೀವಿ. So each clod represent, we can say, a pedon, a soil or the earth, like that. The pedons may be considered as building blocks that make up both soil taxonomic classes and soil mapping units. Most of the pedons are too small to exhibit all the characteristics of a soil individual. Usually, they do not show shape of the soil nor nature of its boundaries with other soils. So, pedon do not have any shape and boundaries. Next is, pedons are real natural soil volumes just large enough to show all the soil horizons present and their relationships. Boundaries of pedons do not depend on references to any taxonomic schemes. So next pedon is polypedon. Polypedon is the plural of pedons. Polypedon is also a real soil body. It is a parcel of continuous pedons. It is a contiguous pedons, all of which have characteristics laying within the defined limits of a single soil series. Polypedons are the subject of soil taxonomy. They are the real objects that are classified. They are comparable to individual pine trees, P-I-N-E, pine trees, or individual fish and individual human beings. Therefore, polypedon is defined as a continuous or contiguous similar pedons of entity of a soil. It is a real physical body which has a minimum area of 1 kilometer square, 1 kilometer square, whereas pedon is 10 meters square. Polypedon is 1 kilometer square and an unspecified maximum area. The polypedons are the real soil bodies that are classified into series and higher categories. So the polypedons are the real soil bodies that are classified into series and higher categories. Several continuous pedons with a similar characteristics are grouped together in a large area called as polypedon or individual soil. So many number of pedons are with the similar characteristics leads to polypedon. So pedon area is 10 meters square, whereas polypedon area is 1 kilometer square area. Many number of pedons or individual pedons with the same characteristic features leads to the formation of polypedons. Siddhesh, 86 jana bandare, ashte 86 jana.
Sir.
Bari 86 jana bandare ashte vatto.
Check ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ sir.
ಅಲ್ವಾ? So ಅದಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ನಾವು as a human being and a professor of soil science will give consideration for the students.
ಸರಿ ಸರ್.
ನೀವು ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಸೇರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ನಾನು ಒಬ್ಬನೇ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ.
ಹಾ ಸರ್.
ಓಕೆ.
ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಶಾಟ್ ತೆಗೆದು ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತೀನಿ ಸರ್.
ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡಿ.
ರೆಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್.
ಆಯ್ತು, ಒಳ್ಳೇದು, ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸರ್.
The last part of today's class is regolith and soil. So far we have discussed about the importance of soil science or scope of soil science. And another small chapter is pedon and polypedon we have discussed. The next part of the today's class is regolith and soil. What is regolith? Regolith is considered as approximately, synonymous to the term soil by many engineers. So it may be defined as a loose, unconsolidated inorganic material of weathered rock on the earth material. It is the result of disintegration and decomposition of rocks and minerals. It is also termed as a parent material for the soil. It is on this material that the soil forming factors and soil forming processes are interplay to form a true soil. There are two consecutive steps leading to the formation of a soil. The first step is accomplished by weathering of rocks and minerals, that is disintegration and decomposition of rocks and minerals, giving rise to a term called as regolith. So regolith is formed by the parent materials like rocks and minerals by the weathering of rocks and minerals and decomposition of rocks and minerals. The second step is associated with the action of soil forming factors and processes. They may be shown as like rock give rise to regolith. Regolith give rise to true soil. So in between rock and regolith, weathering of rocks and minerals comes, alteration of rocks and minerals, decomposition and disintegration of rocks and minerals comes. There forms a unconsolidated parent material called as regolith. Regolith is intermediate product between rocks and minerals and a true soil. So once the regolith is formed, the regolith is converted into true soil by soil forming factors and soil forming processes. So once all these soil forming active and passive soil forming factors act on regolith and finally formed a product called as a true soil. So rocks and minerals, regolith, and true soil. So these are the important materials formed from the rocks and minerals. So regolith may be a few meters. Regolith may be a few meters to several meters in thickness. It may be derived from the underlying bedrock, or may have been transported by the action of water and wind or ice. Its upper 1 to 2 meters being nearest to the atmosphere and subject to the weathering and various soil forming process differs from the regolith. Further, it is the upper one 2 meters where most of the biological activity is observed. The presence of some decomposed organic matter along with weathering of minerals often results in the formation of characteristic horizons. Horizons means layers. So this upper and biochemically weathered part of the regolith, considered as the soil, differs from the parent material below by having high organic matter content, abundance of roots and more intense weathering and distant horizons, layering resulting from the different soil forming factors and processes. So next is composition of soil. In the same chapter of regolith and soil, we have to study about the composition of soil. Soil exactly contains what? From the physical standpoint of view, soil composed of solid phase and liquid phase and gaseous phase. So soil is a three-dimensional figure. Soil is three-dimensional figure. That means it is a solid phase. It is having liquid phase. Liquid means water. And gaseous phase means air with varying properties. In an ideal soil, surface soil, so the components are observed in amount by volume. So we can say the volume composition of soil consisting of like this. So 50% is a solid matter and 50% is a soil volume. So solid and soil, gaseous matter and soil solids. So among these soil solids of 50%, so we have 48% of mineral matter, 48% of mineral matter and 5% of organic matter content, 28% of water and 25% of air. So any mineral soil volume composition contains soil solids and soil liquid and gaseous. Soil solids is divided into inorganic matter and organic matter. The inorganic compound is called as mineral matter, that is 45% in volume, and organic matter content 5%. So this 45 plus 5 is 50% is solid matter in the soil. Next, further 50% is occupied by soil liquid, that is soil water, and soil gases. So what exactly the mineral matter contains? Mineral matter contains nothing but sand, silt, and clay. Even quartz, micas, feldspar, secondary minerals like clay minerals, oxides formed by the clay, etc. So all these materials are considered together soil volume. So soil organic matter may fluctuate. Depends upon the application of organic matter content to soils or FIM or compost. Whereas the volume composition of air and water always fluctuates. They never be constant in the soils, please. You cannot expect always 20% of water in the soils or you cannot expect always 20% of air in the soils, because whenever there is a heavy rains, when water enter into the soils, so it replaces the voids or the gaps or the volume occupied by the air. So thereby air is exudates from the soils, and that place is occupied by the water. So there you will get waterlogged soils. So these waterlogged soils are unfit for crop growth, you know very well, because the roots cannot able to respire. Respiration is very difficult for the roots when the soil volume is completely occupied by the water. So there also it is difficult to grow the crop. In other words, under dryland conditions where the rainfall is very, very scanty and high temperature and low rainfall areas, you can see all the water bodies of the soils will be occupied by the completely air. So that is arable soils. Arable soils. Under such conditions, there will not be any moisture in the soils. Even such conditions also, the crops are unable to grow because of moisture stress. Moisture stress, the plant will get wilt, maybe permanent wilting or temporary wilting, the plant will die. So, under any excess containing of water or air in the soils, both are dangerous for the crop, or the soils cannot able to sustain. So, therefore, the soil maybe contains more or less 20% of water and 20% of air, irrespective of the mineral matter and organic matter. So this is very, very important. Suppose if you see the organic soils comes under the order of histosols, wherein a mineral matter, as I said, it is supposed to be 45%. It is reverse in case of organic soils or peat and muck soils, wherein the mineral matter is completely devoid. It is completely occupied by the organic matter content. They're called as organic soils. Or peat and muck soils, wherein mineral matter is hardly 2 to 3%. That means sand, silt and clay or quartz or other secondary minerals will be very, very meager, 1 to 2%, 3%. Whereas 95 to 96, 45 to 46, 47, 48, 49, or up to 50% of soil solids may be occupied by the organic matter content. Such cases, they are called as humus soils or histosols or organic soils. Such situation also do come across in India. In some of the Western Ghats where activity of human beings are completely divided, such soils are completely occupied by the organic matter content, that is fallen leaves, grasses and plants. After death and decay, they give very good humus conditions, and where you cannot see the mineral matter at all in the soils. Such soils are called as peat and muck soils, where it contains only organic matter content. So the soil volume, like 40% of mineral matter and 5% of organic matter content, 20% of air and water is very important. You're supposed to be remember ever. So there ends the class today. Any doubts? Any clarification, please? Doubt idenappa? Mr. Ashik Khanal is there, foreign national? He's not there?
Yes, sir.
Vedant.
Yes, sir.
Ashik Khanal,
Yes, sir.
you are from which place?
Sir, Nepal, sir.
Nepal, you are understanding my speech or lecture?
Yes, sir. I am understanding.
You got the notes from the CR 2 classes?
Yes, sir. I got the notes.
So you can able to read, no problem?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Very good.
Thank you, sir.
Akshita J, NRI?
Huh, sir.
Akshita, how are you?
Fine, sir.
Nimavuru?
Sir, Bangalore, sir, not NRI, sir. CET only.
Hauda, Akshita J irಬೇಕು, sorry.
Akshata J only, sir.
Akshita J is from NRI, Akul Goda, na?
Yes, sir. Maybe.
Akul Goda is here?
ಸರ್
Gouda, you from which place?
ಸರ್ ಅಕ್ಷಿತಾ ಜೆ ಸರ್ ಇವತ್ ಬರ್ತ್ಡೇ, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ವಿಶ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡಿ ಸರ್ ಅವಳಿಗೆ.
ಅಕ್ಷತಾ ಜೇದು ಬರ್ತ್ಡೇನಾ?
ಸರ್
ಓಹೋ ಇದಾರ, ಬಂದಿದಾರ ಅವರು?
ಸರ್ ಇವಾಗಾದ್ರೂ ಮಾತಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್. ಧನುಷ್ ಒಂದು ಸರ್, ಧನುಷ್ ಅಂತ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ ಸರ್.
ಒಂದು ನಿಮಿಷ ಇರಪ್ಪ. ಅಕ್ಷತಾ ಜೆ is here?
Yes, sir.
Oh, many returns of the day, my baby. How are you?
Fine, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
So how do you give sweets to all the students and the teacher?
Maybe in offline, sir.
Class ಶುರು ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಮಾಡೋಣ ಅಲ್ವಾ?
Yes, sir.
I wish you happy birthday to you and many returns of the day. God bless you.
Thank you, sir.
Next student ಯಾರಪ್ಪ?
ಧನುಷ್ ಅಂತ ಸರ್.
ಧನುಷ್ ಇದ್ದೀರೇನಪ್ಪ?
ಸರ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ಅವನು
ಇಲ್ವೇ? ಎಲ್ಲೋಗ್ತಾನೆ?
ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್.
ಯಾವೂರು ಅವ್ನು ಹುಡುಗಂದು?
ಸರ್ ರಾಮನಗರ ಹತ್ತ ಹಳ್ಳಿ ಸರ್.
ರಾಮನಗರ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಸಿಗಲ್ಲನಪ್ಪ. ಇರ್ಲಿ. Let us all wish very happy birthday to Dhanush and many returns of the day for him, and we shall exploit the spirits from him in absentia. He is not here right now. May God bless him. All the best. Anybody's birthday today?
ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ಇಷ್ಟೇ.
Very good. I really appreciate you people recalling the birthday of the students and wishing them is very good habit of the students. Very good. ಅಕ್ಷತಾ ಅವ್ರಿಗೂ ಬಹಳ ಖುಷಿ ಪಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಲ್ವೇನಮ್ಮ? ಹೊಸ ಬಟ್ಟೆ ಹಾಕಿದ್ಯಾ ಅಕ್ಷತಾ?
Yes, sir.
ಹೊಸ ಬಟ್ಟೆ ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ? ಹೊಸ ಬಟ್ಟೆ?
Yes, sir.
ನಿಮ್ದು ಯಾವರು?
So Bangalore, sir.
ಮುಖ ತೋರ್ಸಮ್ಮ ನೋಡೋಣ, ವಿಶ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ.
Sir.
ಆಗುತ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ? ಇರ್ಲಿ ಬಿಡಿ, ತೊಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಎನಿವೆ ಆಲ್ ದ ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಮ್ಮ. ಗುಡ್ ಲಕ್.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
We should feel happy that our all friends they recalled your birthday and wish both of you. Good.
Yes, sir.
Good habit.
Thank you for them also, sir. Thank you so much.
ನೀವು ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಬಂದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಸ್ವೀಟ್ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕಲ್ಲಮ್ಮ?
Yes, sir. Sure, sir.
ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್. ಇನ್ಯಾರು ಬರ್ತ್ಡೇ ಯಾವ್ದಿಲ್ವಾ?
ಯಾರ್ದಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸರ್.
ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅಶೋಕ್ ಅಂತಿದ್ರನಪ್ಪ? ಅಶೋಕ ಇಸ್ ಹಿಯರ್?
ಎಸ್ ಸರ್.
ಅಶೋಕ್ ಅವರೇ ಹೇಗಿದ್ದೀರಿ? ಏನೋ ತಿರುಗಾಡ್ದಂಗೆ ಕಾಣ್ತೀಯ ಫೋಟೋದಲ್ಲಿ ತಿರುಗಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀಯಾ? ಓಕೆ. ವಾಟ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಭುವನಾರಾಧ್ಯನಾ?
ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್.
AMB 0037 is here. Bhuvanaraധ്യ C not here.
Yes sir.
ಏನಪ್ಪ? 0037 ಅನ್ಬಿಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದಿನ್ನು. AMB 0037 ಭುವನಾರಾಧ್ಯ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾನೇನಪ್ಪ? ಓಕೆ. ಇನ್ಯಾರಪ್ಪ ತರಿಸ್ಬೇಕು ನಾನು? ಚೇತನ ಆರ್ ಇಸ್ ದೇರ್? Chetana R. AMB 0062 Ganesh is here?
Yes sir.
Ganesh ಅವರ lateral entry ನಿಂದು?
ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್.
ಗಣೇಶ AMB 0062.
Yes sir.
ಗಣೇಶ್ ಗೆನಕಿ ಹಾಲಾ?
Yes sir.
ನಿಮ್ lateral entryನಾ?
ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್.
ಇಲ್ವಾ?
63 ಸರ್.
63 ಸರ್.
ಮತ್ತೆ ಅಕಾಡೆಮಿಕ್ ಯೂನಿಟ್ ಇಂದ 63 ಗಣೇಶ್ H is lateral entryನಾ?
ಹೌದು ಸರ್.
ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಕನ್ನಡ ಮೀಡಿಯಂ ಬಂದಿರೋದು ಡಿಪ್ಲೊಮಾದಿಂದ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಹೀಗೆ ನೀವು ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗುತ್ತಾ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತದೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ? ಹಾ, ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ ಪಾಠ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ ಡಿಪ್ಲೊಮಾದಲ್ಲಿ, ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲನೂ? ನೋಟ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತೀನಿ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು ನೀವು, ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಓದ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಓಕೆ. ಗೋವರ್ಧನ್ ಗೌಡ MR.
Yes, sir.
How are you?
ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಸರ್.
ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್, ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್. ಈ WI ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನದು? ಹೇಮಂತ್ MJ WI ಅಂತ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಏನದು? AMB 0075
ಸರ್ ಮಾಪಪ್ ರೌಂಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸೀಟ್ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ದು ಸರ್. ಅದು
ಏನದು W ಅಂತ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಏನಂತದ ಅರ್ಥ?
ವಾಕಪ್ ರೌಂಡ್ ಇರಬೇಕು ಸರ್.
ಓ, W ಫಾರ್ ವಾಕಿಂಗ್. ವಾಕಿಂಗ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೂ. WI ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ವಾಕಿಂಗ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೂ. ಕಂಗ್ರಾಚುಲೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಪ್ಪ ನಿನಗೆ. ಏನ್ ಲಕ್ಕಿ ಕಣಯ್ಯ ನೀನು, ಅಲ್ವಾ ಹೇಮಂತ?
ಸರ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಬೇರೆ ಕಡೆ ಧಾರವಾಡಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿತ್ತು ಸರ್ ನಂದು. ವಿಜಯಪುರದಲ್ಲಿ BSc AG. ಮತ್ತೆ ಇದು ನೇಟಿವ್ ಹತ್ರ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಅಂತ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ರೌಂಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಿ 1,20,000 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಟ್ಟಿ ಪುನಃ ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಸೇರ್ಕೊಂಡೆ ಸರ್.
1,25,000 ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಯಾ?
ಎಸ್ ಸರ್, ಫೈನ್ ಅಂತ.
ವಾಕಿಂಗ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೂಗೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕಾ
ಸರ್? ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇದು KCET ಇಂದ ಯಾವ್ದು ಸೀಟ್ ಅಲಾಟ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು ಆ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕು ಸರ್ ನಾವು.
ಓಹ್, ನೀವು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತಾ? ಗಾಟ್ ಇಟ್. ನೀವು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಲಾಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಕಟ್ಸ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ರಲ್ವಾ?
ಎಸ್ ಸರ್.
ಓಕೆ. ಎನಿವೆ, ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಊರು ನಿಮ್ದು?
ಸರ್ ನೇಟಿವ್ ಮಂಡ್ಯ ಸರ್, ಸೆಟಲ್ಡ್ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ.
ಸೆಟಲ್ಡ್ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಾ? ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್. ಓಕೆ. ಆಲ್ ದ ಬೆಸ್ಟ್. ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಓದ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ?
ಎಸ್ ಸರ್.
ಪ್ರೀತಮ್ B, AMB 0089.
Sir.
Pritham B, how are you?
Good, sir.
Doing well?
Yes, sir.
What is the PH means?
Sir, physical handicap, sir.
Okay. You are doing well, no problem. No issues with you now, isn't it?
No, sir, no.
All the best, appa. Mane Veeresh, lateral entry, physical handicap ನೋಡಿ ಹೆಂಗಿದೆ?
ಸರ್ ಲ್ಯಾಟರಲ್ ಎಂಟ್ರಿ ಸರ್.
ಅದೇ ಲ್ಯಾಟರಲ್ ಎಂಟ್ರಿ PH ಅಂತ ಹಾಕಿದಾರ ಮತ್ತೆ?
ಹಾ ಸರ್.
ವೀರೇಶ್, ನೀವು ಬೈಕ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಕೂತಿದ್ರಲ್ವಾ?
ಹಾ ಸರ್.
ಏನು ಆಕಾಶ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಿ? ಏನ್ ಸಮಾಚಾರ?
ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್.
ನೋಡಪ್ಪ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬೈಕ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಕೂತಿಲ್ವಾ ನೀನು? ಬುಲೆಟ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಕೂತಿದೀಯಾ, ಆಕಾಶ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀಯಾ. ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ ಫೋಸ್ ಅದು. ಐ ಲೈಕ್ ಇಟ್.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸರ್.
ಗುಡ್. ಓಕೆ. ಈ ಯಾರೋ ನಾಗರಾವ್ ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ರಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ, AMB 0062. ಗಣೇಶ.
Yes, sir.
ನಾಗರಾವ್ ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ ಫೋಟೋ. ತೆಗೆದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬೇರೆದಾಕಪ್ಪ, ಭಯ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅವೆಲ್ಲನೂ.
ಸರಿ ಸರ್.
ನಾಗರಾವ್ ತೆಗೆದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಯಾವ ದೇವ್ರ ಫೋಟೋ ಹಾಕು.
ಆಯ್ತು ಸರ್.
ಅದು ಒಂಥರ ಖಚಿತಂಗೆ ಕಾಣ್ತದೆ, ನನಗೆ ಒಂಥರ ಭಯ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಓಕೆ ಮೈ ಡಿಯರ್ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್, ಆಲ್ ದ ಬೆಸ್ಟ್. ನಾನು ಪಾಠ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರೋದೆಲ್ಲ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ?
ಹಾ ಸರ್, ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಿದೆ ಸರ್.
ಏನ್ ತೊಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಲ್ಲ?
ಏನ್ ತೊಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್.
Okay, I will share the notes to the CR and we will again communicate to you all the notes. If any disturbance or any communication problems of notes is concerned, you please give a ring to me. I think all of you have my email ID and phone number, isn't it? ಎಲ್ಲರ ಹತ್ರ ಇದೆ. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಏನೋ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ನನಗೆ ಒಂದ್ಸಲ ಫೋನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಥವಾ ಮೆಸೇಜ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಸರ್ ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೈನ್ ಪೆಡಾನ್ ಒನ್ಸ್ ಅಗೇನ್. ಓಕೆ, ಫೈನ್. ಓಕೆ, ಗುಡ್. ಯಾರೋ ಒಬ್ರು ಹುಡುಗರು ಮೆಸೇಜ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, AMB 0053. ಸರ್ ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೈನ್ ಪೆಡಾನ್ ಒನ್ಸ್ ಅಗೇನ್. ಓಕೆ, ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೈನ್ ಒನ್ಸ್ ಅಗೇನ್. ಸೊ ದ ಟರ್ಮ್ ಪೆಡಾನ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ರಿಯಲಿ, ಟೈಮ್ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ? Natural soil volumes just large enough to show all the soil horizons present and their relationships. The boundaries of pedans do not depend on references to any taxonomic schemes. Pedans may be considered as building blocks that make up both soil taxonomic classes and soil mapping units, because most of the pedans are too small to exhibit all the characteristics of a small individual. Example, usually they do not show any shape of the soil nor nature of any boundaries with the soils. The term pedan has been proposed for a small basic entity that are part of unbroken mass mantling the land. So therefore, the pedan is the smallest volume that can be called a soil. At the same time, it must be large enough volume of a soil to have a observable exhibiting characteristics. It must show three-dimensional, and its lower limit is somewhat limited between soil and not a soil. It is the unit where sampling is being done. The set of pedons must fit within the range of one series and occur in adjoining group to form polypedons. So from the Greek word, pedon means it is soil or earth. Pedon is the three-dimensional sampling unit size of about 1 to 10 meters square, used for examination and study of the soil in the field. So the polypedons are defined as a continuous similar characteristics having pedons. It is really having a physical body which has a minimum area of 1 kilometer square and an unspecified maximum area. Area can be any kilometers, but minimum area for polypedon is 1 kilometer. But polypedon is made out of different number of defined pedons of similar characteristics. That is called as a polypedon. So this is, I will show you the figures also there. I will just give by notes. You can understand better. But pedon and polypedon will be understood more in the when we complete rocks and minerals and taxonomic classes. So you should remember very well that pedon is having just 10 meter square area, and polypedon is 1 kilometer square area, and no specified distance is mentioned for polypedon. So many number of pedons of similar characteristics leads to formation of polypedons. Okay. Okay, students, shall we close the class?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all the best. Stay home. Stay safe. Good luck to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Bye, sir.